Great.
Should work. Okay. All right. So we can get started. So I'll introduce myself to you again. How I am Irene Donhow. I'm the volunteer engagement manager with Intercambio, and I work with recruiting volunteers and onboarding them in both our online program and our one-on-one group classes. And with me on on this presentation is Larry McConnell, and he will also be sharing some of his experiences as a teacher. So
Wonderful.
I am going to share my screen here and start our presentation. Let me get this. There we go. Can you see the presentation?
Very well.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to start by asking you how, do you've had an experience somewhere that you've had to try and communicate with somebody in a different language, maybe somewhere you've traveled or something like that, and what it felt like?
Oh, tons of experiences. I was born in India. I've lived different places of the world, traveled a ton, and even locally, I've experienced it.
Yeah. And what are some of the kind of feelings, like frustration? Did you feel stupid that you couldn't converse? What did it?
Yeah, and I find myself doing the stupid American thing of talking slower and louder, like that's going to make it better.
Yeah.
And it
Yes.
doesn't. And you end up using a lot of hands gestures and try to draw something or act it out, play charades, all kinds of stuff that you feel really stupid doing.
Yeah, yeah. So you can imagine, I mean, we have it maybe just on a trip that we've taken. So you can imagine what our students are like that face that every day. And that's really what's brought us to kind of what our mission is with Intercambio. And it's bringing English learners and community volunteers together in language classes and gatherings to build skills, confidence, and life-changing connections. So
That's
to give
awesome.
Yeah, to give you just an overview, I know we're really going to talk about our online program today, but just to show you kind of the breadth of Intercambio's programs, we do have one-on-one classes that we do in Boulder County, in group and one-to-one with volunteers and students.
That's
We
in
have,
Colorado.
yes, just that's solely in Colorado. And
Mhm.
we have our online program, and we also have, actually, I'm going to move this away, what we call our partner network. So we sell our curriculum to 115 different partners around the US. So these are faith-based organizations. They could be, example, the Minnesota Literacy Council, state-run organizations that use our materials and interact with us with trainings and seminars and conferences. And we really call our program a relationship-based English language program because it's really about the relationship of the volunteer with the student. So a little bit of history about us. So you know, we were founded in 2001, 2006, developed our own curriculum. Right around COVID, we had around over 500 students, close to 200 volunteers.
Wow.
And 2021, as a result of COVID, created a program we call CC English, which is our online program. And we brought those one-on-one teachers online with their students so they could continue teaching. And then this year, we've got 741 students over the year that have been involved with us. And we were lucky enough in spring of this year to be awarded $2 million from Mackenzie Scott for a grant for yield giving to move us into kind of our next phase of extending our operations both in Boulder County and nationally.
Awesome.
Yeah. So what makes it special about what we call the Intercambio way? It's this relationship-based participatory English classes. Our curriculum, it really gives it a chance for the students to be interactive as they're learning. We want it to be accessible to all, and that's why we really think the online program offers that. It's mutual learning. The students are learning from the teachers, but as a teacher, you're learning from your student as well. You're learning about their experiences, what it's like for their experience, not only before they got to the US, but as they're living in the US. And really our volunteer teachers, we call them the guides on the side as they're bringing their students through their English learning. They're not the sage on the stage. They're not, up there forcing English grammar lessons. They're really helping them get that confidence in their English speaking. And we like to say it's not about what you know, it's about how you are, that you're patient and encouraging with your student. So who are our learners? There's a long list of countries there. Right now we have students from over 65 countries.
Wow.
And that's across all our platforms. And, why are they taking English classes? It's for a better job or increase in pay. They want more independence in the community, more involvement in their children's education. They want to be able to speak to their teachers about how their children's teachers about how they're doing in their classes.
Could I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
I don't mean to interrupt. These people are all in the United States, right? They're from these countries, but they're not in those countries, right?
Correct. All of our students and all of our volunteers are US residents. They all are here.
Okay. I just want to make sure I understand. That's all. Sorry.
No, that's fine. So they're looking to be more involved with their coworkers and people in the community. And they really want to meet new people and develop the social connections, as well as going for some personal academic development. We have students are coming in who are going to go to college, so they want to have that English training. So they're coming in to get that boost before they start their college enrollment. So our learners, how do they hear about us? Well, 50% are from a friend or family member. We really don't do a lot of marketing at all for our students, to bring students in our program. They're finding us, and especially online, they're finding us. We have over 100 students on our wait list. So it's really a lot of referrals from people that know about us and had classes. The average age of our student is 39 years old across all the programs. And they have, for our gender breakdown, depending on whether it's online or in person, it's kind of ranges between 65 to 70, 76% women, generally women in the program, though we say especially for in person. And where are they coming from? You see the top 4 countries here. Move that a little bit down further. And we have, so Mexico, Venezuela, Peru, and Colombia are top South American countries and Central American, but Brazil, actually for our online program, we have the most students from Brazil. So that was really interesting for us to find out that somehow the Brazilian community has found our program and they're sharing the word amongst themselves. So what about our volunteers? Well, we characterize them by saying they're coming from all walks of life. Most have never taught before. We really want them to be enthusiastic and encouraging, patient, and they really enjoy learning about different perspectives of our students. So I looked at our volunteers and oh, let me come back. Sorry, one more slide on volunteers. Where did they hear about us? Some have found for an online search for the online program, or usually for in-person, it's from a friend. So a lot of referrals from people who are already teaching. Gender breakdown, close to 75% are women. That's pretty common in the whole nonprofit volunteer community, that it's predominantly women. And what states are they coming from? Colorado, California, Florida, New York, and Texas are the states where we've recruited the most volunteers. So I did a kind of persona overview of what our volunteers are. And this is really anecdotal, but it's kind of getting a sense of saying, where could I fit in? Am I somebody that could be a volunteer with Intercambio? So we kind of came up with these 5 different characteristics of people. So And we've given them fictitious names, but it's the first one is Paul, who's a curious explorer. So somebody who's traveled around the world. They've loved meeting people from different cultures, likely retired. They're more of an outgoing person. They like to be, tend to find them as a group teacher. We have the Cathies, who are these lifelong learners. They've retired teachers, retired librarians. They really want to keep teaching. That's their passion, and they do a lot with us with their training as well. We have Robertos, who we've called the carers and sharers, and these people who were immigrants themselves or their families, their parents were immigrants, and they've seen what it's like to struggle, and they want to help somebody else. We have the Brandies, who are these people that come to us who are working on an ESL certification. So they'll come in to do a practicum requirement and spend maybe 3 months with us getting that experience before they start their career in ESL. And then we have the Justins, who are just these people that really want to do something good for somebody else. They're constantly trying to help do things better for the world, and you know, they want to teach and help people. So, you know, I don't know, Larry, this might be the first time you've seen this persona group. Do you see yourself as one of these people?
More, maybe, yeah, more than one. You know, I certainly love to explore. I feel like I am a lifetime learner, and I also feel like I'm a bit of a do-gooder, so I could claim several of those.
Yeah. So it's kind of a fun way where we see people saying, yeah, I fit with this kind of intercambio volunteer community. And so when I talk to volunteers, I like to point out one thing about the health benefits of volunteering. And I don't know if you've shared this, Hal, with your community, but there's a lot of good data out there on why volunteering is good for you. There's actually some data that AmeriCorps has put up about the health benefits of volunteering. So it's actually older volunteers get the greatest health benefits of spending time volunteering. There's increased life satisfaction that's been documented to come with volunteering, and lower rates of depression. They found that the states with the highest volunteering rates correlate with the highest longevity rates. So there's something definitely to this idea of volunteering that helps your overall health. And finally, they've seen a better social health, which is the aspect of overall health and well-being that comes from connection, that comes with volunteering. And it's lower rates of stroke, dementia, early death that happens when people have found connections through volunteering. So I love looking at this data because it just is, you know, another good reason why people need to be out and connecting with people and volunteering.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So now let's talk about our program for online teaching. So we have these classes that meet over Zoom. They meet for 90 minutes twice a week. It's a 6-month commitment that we ask. When we talk about them, we say, you know, it's great for people who travel or people who have mobility concerns, people who don't want to leave their space to be able to connect and do this kind of volunteering. We start matching our volunteers up as soon as they finish the training, and we have a monthly live training that they're involved in, as well as some video trainings that they'll watch. They need to have access to a tablet or computer with a working camera or microphone to be able to meet with their students.
When you say it's 2 times a week, is that subject to their schedule, or is it set days a week?
No, we ask our volunteers when they're available, and then we match that up with the students' availability.
Okay.
So it's what meets with them. And we provide the digital curriculum, and I'll show examples of that curriculum later on. So I'm thinking, I don't know, did I share? I don't know if I shared my sound. Let me see if I'm hoping. Okay, I'm going to try to show this video, and let's see if the sound comes through or not. Okay, all right. So I'm going to send you the link for that video, Hal,
Okay.
and then you'll be able to see it. So I'm going to pass it over to Larry now so he can give you some real testimonial of what it's like to be working with a program as an online volunteer.
Wonderful.
Great. Okay. Well, thanks, Irene. I started doing volunteering with Intercambio in 2017, so I've been connected for a while.
Yeah.
Mostly initially it was person-to-person classes. So I live in that Boulder County area, so I was able to both go through the training early on, and then had first a larger class of students that I worked with, and then individual students that I worked with. Then, of course, COVID came along and everything kind of quieted down for a while. But then I got reconnected because Intercambio had started doing what they called CC English, which was online classes one-on-one, and again got started doing some teaching of that sort, which was great. And they, in the meantime, Intercambio had really grown. I was pretty amazed to see what had happened. Um, First of all, their materials got much better. It was clear they had really put a lot of effort into making those materials improved, and they had them put up on slides that you can use for teaching. They had always had good workbooks. That was the mechanism for teaching that I had first experienced, and they backed that up with a variety of other things. Like one was help with pronunciation. One was kind of learning how to adjust to American culture and customs, that kind of stuff. But well done and really helpful materials that I think the students appreciated, and I know I did. And then most recently, I went through the training again, and the training is now substantially extended, but quite good. And again, I felt it was worthwhile doing that. At the moment, I am teaching a group of people, and the things that were always true continue to be true, which is they come from a variety of places, variety of backgrounds. They are very interested in learning English. They work very hard to do that. They're almost always very well prepared for class and very engaged. They are genuinely enthusiastic about their opportunity to learn, which, for a teacher is, of course, what you want. It's extremely rewarding to have very engaged, interested students. And as Irene is saying, I think one of the things that us volunteers appreciated is it's a great chance for us to get connected with people from all over the world, kind of learn about their backgrounds, their interests, the things that they enjoyed, where they lived, how the adjustment process to living here in the U.S. is going. It's a very positive experience. So I think that's enough, unless you've got any questions for me.
Great. Sounds wonderful.
Thanks, Larry. All right. So as Larry mentioned, we put these slides together and they're now in a digital form. And just to give an example of what kind of materials that the volunteers work with, this is a lesson from our level 1 class. And all of our lessons from intro up through level 5 are built the same way. So you have the introduction of the topic and the agenda of what's going to happen in the lesson. It's the same from every lesson through the curriculum. So there's an audio track at the beginning of a lesson where they'll listen and they'll hear a conversation or hear some kind of news report, and then they start to answer some questions based on what they've heard. And our technique is kind of what we call scaffolding. So it begins to build, each lesson builds a bit more. And from there, they'll go into doing the vocabulary words that they've heard from the audio. And then some work on pronunciation. And as Larry mentioned, we've put together actually our own book on how to do the pronunciation sound. So there's a lot of support if you want to teach the difference between the V and the W sound, how you move your mouth and how what vibrations you're going to hear. And I also should mention, while this you're looking at slides from the student book and what the teacher would use to teach, we have a teacher's book where there's lots of tips and information saying, you know, how should you teach this pronunciation? Well, make sure that you touch your neck and hear the vibration. So all these tips are embedded in the teacher book, so the teacher has guidance on how to teach a lesson.
How what level are the students when they come to you? Is it a wide range, or is it they have to have minimal English, or
we in our program we go from intro to level 6. Our online program tends to be skewed towards the higher levels because they have to have some computer literacy to be able to get in, to register, to have access to a computer. So generally the online program, I would say, is from level 2, 3. It begins there and goes forward. So it would be more maybe the next level up from what you're seeing here. Right. But we rarely get somebody who's at our intro level where they're learning how to write our alphabet in the online program. Okay. So you see a little bit here about the grammar in this questions and answer page. So that's as much grammar as that we would really do in a lesson. And that's really, I think, what differentiates our program from an English very much traditional type of program where you're only doing grammar to learn the language. It's much more conversational, giving people the confidence to be able to speak. And then the second part of the lesson is what we call this real life, your life. So it's about using what you've learned in the beginning of the lesson kind of in a real life situation. And so there'll be an example, what you see about here, like in this one here, maybe there's a form to fill out. How would you fill out the form? And then there's this chance of a culture tip. And this is really an opportunity where the teacher and the student talk about what's different where you are and how you grew up versus what we have here, and really opens up a door for conversation. More pages here on this real life, using what they've learned. And then finally, another chance for conversation where here it's written as a partner, but it would be this between the student and the teacher. What do you do in your free time? So, you know, there's a conversation about and learning more about what the student's doing, what the teacher's doing, you know, building on that relationship between the teacher and the student. Mm-hmm. So in terms of our curriculum, as I mentioned, we go from intro to level 5. Each level has 2 books, and that's why we ask for that 6-month commitment, because it takes a student through those 2 books at that same level. All of our students come in and they do take a placement test, so we feel confident that we've got them in the right place to start. We provide the teacher book. We provide for online teachers the online teacher book. If your volunteers want to have a physical book to have, as well as being able to work online, that's available as well. This curriculum has listening, reading, writing, with major focus on speaking, because it's really about giving that confidence to the student with digital and printed materials. Mm-hmm. So we not only have the first training that we do for new teachers that Larry talked about, but there's also ongoing training. We have connection hours that happen about once a month, where our teachers, both from the online program and the in-person program, connect over Zoom with teachers from our partner networks. So these are everybody across the country has the opportunity to come in on a subject. And so maybe we had one connection hour on belonging. How do you make your students feel like they belong within the community? So that's an hour of time where There's breakout rooms where you get to be in smaller groups and kind of talk to other teachers, how did you handle this? And, what's your student like? And it's a really a great chance for exchanging.
Yeah.
We have our workshops, which happen 3 times a year, and that's another topic that's just a little bit longer, an hour and a half. And then we do a summer conference, or we have a summer conference actually coming up at the end of this month, where we have teachers, not only our teachers presenting, but we have teachers within this partner network coming to talk on various topics. So another great chance for people are interacting. And then at Intercambio, we have a dedicated staff member. We have staff on the curriculum as well as program, but for the online program, we have a dedicated staff member that's involved in matching the volunteers and the students together. And lastly, we've done a survey that kind of gave some great data back from our volunteers that they feel connected, that they feel like they're getting support from the staff. Onboarding works for them. So we were happy that we feel like we're doing a good job in supporting our volunteers. So that's what I have. And I think when we've mentioned to you that we're doing this transition of our online program. And
Right.
so it's because it's a new system. And as you can imagine, it's a slow transition. So what I wanted to suggest is that you share out this information within your community and
Okay.
maybe come back to me with what you think the response is. Is it 1, 2 people? Is it more? And then we can talk about, whether we should start those people on our legacy program and let them work for 6 months and then transition them, or decide to start as one of our newer groups on our new system and have them move on. So once we get a sense of kind of what you think the response would be, we can decide, which program to bring them in on.
Okay. So what's the difference between the legacy program? I'm assuming these slides are mostly the legacy program.
Well, the whole digital curriculum's the same. The difference is legacies over Zoom, and the new program is in our own custom-based learning management system. So it's a different system. So there's just a little bit of difference in learning how to share slides, and the onboarding system, the onboarding path is different. They actually go through the whole work stream to come on and train, and then see instead of us matching them up with students, they've put their availability in, and then students' names pop up and they pick their students based on the name. So it's just a little kind of different workflow.
More technology involved.
Yeah.
It's the curriculum. Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Everything's the same in terms of the material they're teaching. It's just how they're interfacing with the platform.
right. I think the printed materials are going to help us a lot. The tech is really nice, but we've got people who are older demographics, so they may. I learned on a book. I want to teach on a book.
Yeah. No, it might be. I mean, they can share the slides, but they can be looking at their book as they're doing. Because I think it also helps, because even if they have the digital teacher book, they can't be showing, having the slides on the screen with their student and the digital copy somewhere else. It's better to have,
Right.
They'd have that book with them. Yeah.
Okay. And we can have caregivers help them with the technology too. We got younger caregivers who probably have no problem.
Yeah. It's we certainly we have the training that goes on in terms of how to do that. So we probably suggest maybe one of your caregivers watches that training so they're familiar with it as well.
Okay. Sounds good. And then if I was wondering, I have one guy who'd be wonderful to talk to, and teach, but he's got a bit of a speech impediment. You probably want him to be able to say the words clearly to help the students.
Probably. I think, we do work with people with different accents. I mean, if you think.
No, he just has trouble talking, so it might be hard.
Challenging, yeah.
He can maybe make special guest appearances with some of them or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So on the 6 months, are they going through different levels, or is each level about 6 months?
It should be take 6 months to go through 2 books, which is one level.
Okay. Okay. Um, let's see. I think that's most of the questions I have. So do I need to, so if I just get like a couple tablets or something like that, and say we have 3 or 4 people in each house doing this, they can schedule different 90-minute sessions so they could share the tablets or things like that, right? You don't
Yeah.
need a dedicated one for each person.
No, they would just log in on their own accounts when they go to
Okay.
share the
Okay.
screen. So yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And then they can look and schedule whatever.
Yep.
Make sure that we're not conflicting with 2 or 3 people wanting to do it at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, their schedules are pretty open. So on our part, it shouldn't be that difficult to separate them. So these students are all over the United States. I'm
Yeah.
assuming there's a pretty good chance that at least some of them are in Phoenix here.
Yeah. Could be. They're all of the country, and we have, sometimes we have some on East Coast time zone, some West Coast, which is works well for students that work all day. So the only time they can take classes at night. So then that's, afternoon and on the West Coast. So it's yeah, it's can go all over.
Okay. Sounds great. But I was thinking maybe they could meet their student at some point.
They possibly, I mean, what we can do by the time you kind of have your people end up, we can do a quick look to see if there are any students in the Phoenix area.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't have to be. I just,
Yeah,
they love to have visitors. So
yeah,
especially young ones,
yeah, yeah. I
they
mean,
feel like grandparents then.
right. And I have to say, I've had volunteers who tell me their students come visit them. So, being in
Okay.
Arizona is not to say that their students may sometime, take a trip to meet them as well.
Right. I mean, Phoenix is a big city, so I would think just by luck of the draw, there's some here.
Yeah, yeah, no, they could.
Okay. It sounds great. So why don't we'll finish this recording. If you could send me the recording, I'll send it out an email to all my families and people, and um, I'll just gather up numbers of interest and everything, and then we'll go from there.
Okay,
So
sounds great.
okay. And Larry, thank you very much. I really appreciate your input. And it's great to hear you've been doing this so long and really enjoy it.
Well, I just want to say I think this is a brilliant idea. I really do. I think this is terrific. Just thinking about people my age sitting around needing something to do. I think this is a great thing to do. So good for you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And to do something where they're projected, even if not physically, at least virtually, they're projected in the outside world and seeing new faces and new people. It just give them a real boost of energy, I think.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thanks again, Irene. This is wonderful. I really
Okay.
appreciate it. You want to
Yeah.
just email me the link to this or something?
I'll email a link, and also I'll send you the presentation too, so you have that just in case.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. We'll get you some volunteers.
All right. Thanks so much.
Have a great
All right.
day. Take care.
All right. Thanks, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.